Hi, I'm going to baste this Dream Big quilt for you. So in the best way. So this is the top. I've got red on the back, just to make it easier to stitch. That way I can keep red in the bobbin. I starched this top really good, so that'll help it slide on the machine as I quilt it. So I'm going to use plain old masking tape. I'm going to tape one end here. You notice I put a safety pin right there? That's the middle of the quilt because it's hanging over just a little bit on this side. That way I know where the middle of my quilt goes. Now I'm going to put some masking tape over here opposite, and I'm just going to give it a little tug. Not too much. Then I'm going to go ahead and do this one. And this one. And then I'm going to come back. So I get a lot of exercise here, coming back and forth. I'm going to tug this one and place it. I like to use masking tape because it sticks to the fabric better. I have that frog tape. It sticks to the table great, but it doesn't stick to the quilts, the fabric so good. Okay. And let's baste. Keep going. See one, oh, did it come loose? No, it's just there. Okay, now we're going to do the side to side. Same thing, middle. While I'm here, I think I'll do both sides. I just get, maybe, okay. All right, now we've got to get this part that's underneath the table. I'm just going to, you won't be able to see what I'm doing, but I'm going to tape it to the fabric here. Put a little tape on the fabric. And then I'm going to reach down and just tape it to the bottom of my table just to hold it taut. And another one. So I've got it a little sideways so that I can put one whole side on there. Get a couple more. Just want it taut because I hate finishing up a quilt. You see this wrinkle here? It's going to pull out when I tighten this up. It's just terrible when you quilt a quilt and then you turn it over and you've got big wrinkles on the back. So that's what we want to avoid. All right, a couple more. Here, I always do the corners last because they seem to need adjusting, but here's the corner. One more piece of tape here and here. All right. And you see that corner needs adjusting already. So I'm just going to pull that up and adjust it a little. Okay. Whew, now that's done. I'm going to put some batting on there. For this quilt, I'm going to use 2 layers of batting. I like to use wool and cotton. Or you could use 2 layers of cotton. You could use, wool and cotton is my favorite combination, but in this case, I'm not sure what this old stuff is. It was something that I had. It feels like a cotton wool. I don't really know what that is. Maybe it's a poly. Something I didn't like very much. But this will give the quilt, since it's a wall hanging, it will keep it from being all saggy. So the cotton and the wool is nice for your feathers, makes your feathers pop. The cotton helps your quilt have some substance and hang straight. And remember, these are art quilts, so you won't have to worry about, I'm gonna go ahead and put this next one on. You don't have to worry about washing it or, I mean, I always wash it once, but you're not gonna wash it a bunch. Okay. All right, now, these 2 layers of batting stick together pretty dang, well, maybe not. Usually they do, but these 2 aren't. This one is a poly. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna use a spray baste, and then I'll show you how to pin too if you don't. So to spray baste, I would do 1/2 of the quilt here at a time, Since this stuff is kind of toxic and kind of nasty, I'm using 505, by the way. It's the least toxic and seems to work really well. You could make a little tint of your batting and just keep the baste in there. And you really don't want a lot. I see people spray it all crazy. Just think of each one of those little dots as a pin. And let's get a couple more over here. And you see how I've contained it now? I've got all the spray underneath, so I don't have it. I'm not breathing it. It's not sticking to my house. All right, so let's tint this side. Just a little bit, not too much. And a little bit here. And usually my batting stick together really well. In this case, they're not really sticking, well, a little bit. You see how it's kind of sticks? I think I'll just put a little bit on to hold the two layers of batting together too. Not usually necessary, so you'll have to see if yours sticks together. All right, a little bit goes a long way. And a little bit more here. Okay. Now I'm going to do the same thing with the top. I want to make sure the center of the top is at these pins so that it will all be on there. Where did I put my top? There it is over there. And I did trim this top. I trimmed all the white edges off and squared it up. It's about 43 by 43 now. Which is a nice size because I can use one layer of backing. You know, I didn't have to stitch it because most of the backing comes in 44 inches. Also, you could, if you wanted to, put some borders on here. Now, you know, you should do it before you baste it, before we get to this point. If you want to do a border like I did, a painted border like I did on the pink one, get some dark green, get something that matches this green, and I will show you how to paint that ribbon that I put on there. All right, so I'm going to put it even with that pin, and let's just see how, oops, I need to scooch it down just a little. Right there, okay. And now, when we lay it down, let's make sure it lays all the way here. Okay, it's a little bit hanging off the edge. I'm going to take it just a little bit further. And let's just make sure it's going to hang over here. Okay, and I've got plenty of backing underneath there for that. Okay, so now same thing. With the basting spray, or if you were a pinner and you want to pin, now would be the time to pin, and you could skip that earlier basting stitch. If you want to pin, I start in the center. I leave the pin open because what happens when you close the pin, you mess up your taut fabric there, and I pin about every hand apart. So if you wanted to pin it, this would be the time. I'm going to go ahead and spray baste it. I go back and forth. Either method works good for me. But I'm going to spray baste this one. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to make a tint. Let me get one more little spot right here. And how about a little extra on the corners? Just a smidge, not very much. Okay. Okay. All right, there we go. Let's see how it's going to hold. Feels pretty good. So now we just have to untape it and scoot it over and get this extra edge over here. And I'm going to do it real quick. If you're really frugal, you can use your tape again. I'm not that frugal. Today, anyway. I'm going to get it in a hurry. Okay. And let's slide it over. Oh, I forgot. I taped it under the table. It's not going anywhere. I taped it good, didn't I? I like it to be nice and tight so it doesn't get any wrinkles. All right, now can I slide it over? One more piece of tape somewhere. Okay. Now we'll pull it over. And I'm not even going to bother taping that little piece. It's just a little bit. I'm just going to make sure it's nice and smooth. And just put a little bit of basting spray right. See, there's not very much. It's already basted right there. Okay, a little bit in the batting. Oh, that batting's starting to stick now. Yeah, you want to. And a little bit under here. Okay, now I can see that I missed a little bit with the batting. I could scoot it over. Usually that's in my, what do you call it, binding anyway, so I'm not gonna worry about it. If I have to, I'll put a little piece. Okay, so now this is ready to take to class. And I will just fold it up and, oh well, let's do a little bit more work before we go to class. Let me just open it up and show you. It would really be helpful if you would stitch in the ditch around these petals before you come. So get at least a few in the center. Start in the center and stitch in the ditch. If you can't see it, sometimes you can see them real obvious right now, and then when you get on the machine you can't see it. Sometimes I will, like this one, sometimes I'll put a chalk line there so I can see it when I get to the machine. Some of the darker ones, or some of those pink ones are kind of get lost in there too. So just chalk it down and just go around the edges with your free motion quilting. Okay? Can't wait to see you in class. Bye-bye.